Number 11. Bruce Green. 62-year-old Bruce Green served as a board member at the Australian Bushmen's Camp Draft and Rodeo Association. He was considered a legend by many in the sport and assisted in any way he could, even when he no longer participated. Green had joined the Horse Management Committee in 1978 and since the early 2000s had been trying to bring the local rodeo to its former glory. Unfortunately, during an event in 2021, Green was charged by a bull and critically injured. He was rushed to the hospital, where he died from the lacerations he had suffered during the attack. Number 10. Greg MEECH. In 2007, Greg MEECH was participating in a Queensland rodeo when he was thrown off a bull and rammed by the massive beast. He was stomped on several times before he managed to make his way out of the arena, badly injured. Before the incident, MEECH had been an active member of the National Rodeo Association Board and was well known in the local circuit, having won several competitions. MEECH was 33 years old and didn't get to find out he'd been declared champion cowboy. After his accident, he was rushed to the Ipswich hospital, suffering from severe internal bleeding. MEECH died soon after, his condition deemed too severe for the doctors to stabilize him. The association regulating rodeo activities in Australia told the press there was nothing more they could have done to assure riders' safety during events. Rodeo is a competitive sport that was born from the practice of herding cattle. There are several different categories, including roping, steer wrestling, and barrel racing. The most popular event, though, has become bull riding, since bulls can usually weigh anywhere between 1,500 and 2,000 pounds. This is considered one of the most dangerous practices within the sport. The term rodeo was coined after the same Spanish word, which can be translated into roundup. William Cody, popularly known as Buffalo Bill, is credited with creating the first rodeo in 1882. Rodeo clowns, who are usually associated with the entertainment aspects of the sport, are also in charge of aiding cowboys and wrangling the bulls. Number 9. Mason Lowe. In 2019, professional bull rider Mason Lowe fell to the ground during the National Western Stock Show. Before he managed to jump back to his feet, the bull's hind legs landed on his chest. Though he had been wearing a protective vest, the sheer force of the animal striking his body was too much for his body to bear. He was immediately taken to the hospital after collapsing in the arena. Lowe ended up dying as a result of catastrophic injuries to his heart. League officials explained that the bull Lowe had attempted to ride, named Hard Times, would remain in the circuit. They considered the accident was absolutely unintentional. Number 8. Enrique Sanchez. Enrique Sanchez was often found in Brown's bucking bulls, competing in bull riding activities. Like the other participants, he attempted to cling to the large animal for over 8 seconds. At the time of his accident, he was 21 years old and had been participating in events all over Fresno, California since he was 13. In spite of his experience, as he rode one of the local bulls at Wood Lake Rodeo, Sanchez failed to hold onto it. He fell off with bad enough luck that his hand got stuck with the rope, leading to disaster. Sanchez was struck on the head by one of the bull's horns. He was immediately taken to the hospital, where he remained in a coma. Though he managed to regain consciousness, up to the recording of this video, his condition remained critical. This sport is practiced in countries all around the globe, from the USA to Canada, Argentina, Colombia, the Philippines, and Australia. In Mexico, the rodeo is better known as charreada, and it includes roping contests. Rodeo is the official sport of 2 different US states, Texas and Wyoming. Professional riders can earn up to $90,000 every year, provided they win enough competitions. Over the last few decades, animal rights movements have demanded better treatment of animals involved in this sport. This has led to a stricter standard of care and treatment to be implemented. Number 7. Rowdy Lee Swanson. In September 2020, Rowdy Lee Swanson, an experienced rider, suffered a fatal accident that shocked the Oklahoma and Texas rodeo circuit. Swanson was a 20-year-old animal science student and member of the OSU rodeo team. During a competition in Texas, he suffered an accident that led to his untimely death. It occurred after he'd bucked off the bull he was attempting to hold onto for the required 8 seconds. The organizations he regularly participated in publicly expressed their sorrow over Swanson's demise. The exact injuries the young college student suffered from weren't disclosed to the public. Number 6. Jesse Davis. In early 2020, Jesse Davis, a professional rodeo cowboy, suffered a horrific injury while competing in the Louisville Bulls and Broncs. While in the Utah-based event, his horse dropped to the ground, landing on top of Davis. He suffered from severe, life-threatening injuries. His liver was crushed and he required surgery to remove half the organ. Davis remained in critical condition after the procedure, but doctors are impressed with the progress he's made since his accident. He's expected to eventually recover from his wounds, though the long-term consequences of his accident aren't known as of early 2021. Considering a bull can be 15 times as heavy as a human being, riders oftentimes suffer injuries and hospitalizations. Many make a full recovery, but long-term consequences and even death are more frequent than in other equestrian-related sports. There's an average of 1 to 2 deaths a year in US professional rodeo and several serious incidents, including spinal and brain injuries. The average accident rate is 32 victims in every 1,000 competitors. Concussions, broken bones, finger amputations, and sprains to the shoulders, ankles, and knees are the most common injuries. Number 5. Brady Gray. Bull rider Brady Gray was hospitalized after a horrific accident in Wyoming. Gray was participating in the college rodeo finals and attempted to ride a bull known as Levi the Boss. The beast stepped on his chest, and though he managed to stand up after the attack, he had to be helped out of the arena. At the hospital, Gray was treated for broken ribs, a bruised aorta, and even collapsed lungs. The last report of his condition was critical, with doctors believing he had only a 60% chance of survival. He remained in a medically induced coma in order to undergo several life-changing surgeries. Number 4. Jake Wright. Jake Wright was a well-known rider in the Colorado rodeo scene, having participated in the Wrangler National Finals 7 consecutive times by 2019. His family has been associated with the sport for decades, with over 9 members riding the circuit. One of his relatives, Ryder Wright, is considered the youngest world champion. That year, however, he suffered a life-altering incident that left him with a severe concussion and a fracture that required surgery. He was lucky to survive after a bull known as Bucking Crazy stepped on his ankle and kicked him in the head. He required over 100 stitches on his wounds and suffered a severe brain bleed. Though he'd suffered plenty of other injuries before his latest accident, Wright was certain he'd return to the arena upon making a full recovery. Number 3. TERESA LEAKE. In May of 2016, TERESA LEAKE was working with a horse before a rodeo when the animal reared up and fell on top of her. She was severely injured and immediately airlifted to a nearby hospital. Official sources explained she had been attempting to tame the newest addition to the herd when the incident occurred. Leake was 49, and though she was placed on life support at a Tulsa hospital in the hope she'd make a slow recovery, her wounds ended up being too extreme for her to survive. She was eventually taken off life support and died soon after. Her organs were donated to 5 different patients. Doctors encourage riders to wear protective gear, especially protective headwear. There's a culture of machismo that encourages participants to step into the arena without the proper equipment. Since many practitioners wish to return to their sport as soon as possible, injuries usually go unreported, and this can lead to them becoming chronic ailments. Headgear is vital towards avoiding concussions and severe brain injuries, while wearing vests significantly lowers the risk of both rib fractures and penetrating wounds to the chest. Rodeo organizations in the US only require that paramedics be available by the side of the arena, including doctors in the staff, and making wearing protective gear mandatory would greatly diminish the chance of life-altering injuries or death of the participants. Today's topic was requested by Josie F. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Kevin CUNIN. After Kevin CUNIN suffered a horrifying accident, doctors told him he'd likely never walk again. He was participating in a rodeo competition in 2015 when he lost control of his horse. CUNIN was sent flying into the air and landed on his head. The cowboy suffered from a broken neck, as well as shattered vertebrae and ribs. CUNIN was paralyzed from the chest down and had to undergo several surgeries. Though he continued using a wheelchair 5 years later, CUNIN eventually made enough progress to ride a horse, thanks to a custom-made saddle. He hopes to compete on rodeos again and has been called an inspiration by his family. Number 1. Lane Frost. Lane Frost was a popular professional rodeo cowboy who specialized in bull riding. He competed several times in the PRCA, the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. In 1989, while participating at the Cheyenne Frontier Days Rodeo, he suffered a deadly injury. He had been riding an infamously dangerous bull known as taking care of business and was struck by the massive animal after successfully landing on the ground. He was struck on the back, sustaining several broken ribs. This led to his lung and heart being punctured. Though he was taken to Memorial Hospital, he was declared dead upon arrival. Frost was just 25 years old at his time of death. He earned 3rd place posthumously. The young rodeo rider was buried near his mentor, Freckles Brown, in Mount Olivet Cemetery. Thanks for watching. Would you rather participate in a rodeo or walk naked through a 100-foot field of poison ivy? Let us know in the comments section below.